Hey guys, welcome to another Deal Finders podcast where we are going to give you tips and tricks to help you get started in real estate investing and finding deals in your local market today with as little as $0 in marketing. We're going to talk about how our guest today got started with absolutely no money in marketing, but now done over 200 deals in the last couple of years. He's working virtually, multiple states, multiple different purchase options, exit strategies, and still we're going to talk about the deal he's doing today, closing today, where he had $0 in marketing, using a proven technique to get deal flow. So you don't want to miss it. Make sure you stay tuned and learn how to get your business started. We'll see you there. All right, guys, welcome back to the Deal Finders podcast, where we're going to talk about how you can find a deal and get started in real estate. I've got an incredible guest today. Michael McDonald is going to show you guys how you can start from local Deal Finder and then do this business wherever you want. So, Michael, welcome to the podcast. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, a minute, something like that, to introduce yourself to everybody and just tell us who you are.
Awesome. Well, happy to be here, Andrew. Looking forward to this. I'll jump right into it. So long story short, I was working as a nutritionist at corporate America, not making any money whatsoever. Found out about real estate, how you can make money with little to no money down. Went to an event, put $40,000 on credit cards, and learned that I better get to work and start making some money. So I did, and that was in Nebraska at the time. Now living in Las Vegas, and have since done a couple hundred real estate deals. And it's been quite the journey from going from corporate America to a full-time real estate investor for going on 5 years now. So quite the journey so far.
Yeah. Nutritionist in corporate America. So I don't think you told me about that. So that is interesting. So were you in like a huge company and doing like their meal plan? What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. So really my aspiration was to be a nutritionist, like in a sports setting, like at a university. But the degree I got, I didn't quite do a lot of due diligence on it before I went through it, because I was young and didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But I had a passion for like exercise and nutrition. And so I ended up getting a dietetics degree. It was just a 2-year degree. And what that ended up leading me to was actually working for a hospital.
Okay.
And in that hospital, I would go educate actually people who just had heart surgeries and stuff like that on like proper diet for that specifically. So, it was just like, it wasn't what I expected. Right. And not only that, I wasn't making that much money. And I was talking to the dietitians who had masters, and they were like, yeah, we're making like 50,000 a year, 40,000 a year. And I'm like, that just doesn't sound that exciting.
Yeah.
To go get more schooling to do what you're doing. And plus I didn't love it, to be honest. So, it was short lived.
Right.
I did that for 2 years, and, yeah.
So, the takeaway from that is you can go and be a real estate investor and be very successful, close over 200 deals, and have a master or have a degree in dietitian or dietetics, right? So the takeaway is, guys, it doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter what you went to school for or didn't go to school for, right? Real estate is accessible to everybody if you just get in here and get started. So let's talk about kind of for you, how did you get started? You said you went to an event. Can you explain that? Because not everybody's done that. What does that mean?
Yeah. So it's crazy to think about, right? Like you said, anybody can do this, right? I didn't ever think I was going to be a real estate investor, but I was just going about my business. I always had aspirations to do more. And first it was multi-level marketing. Then it was like a side hustle over here, side hustle over there. So I started doing these side hustles, and one of my buddies who I was doing the side hustle with was like, hey, there's a real estate event coming into town. And really all it was is they came in, they did a presentation. They're like, hey, you can make money by wholesaling. And I'd never heard about that before. And I was like, this is interesting. It's one of those things that you hear. It's like, it sounds kind of too good to be true. And they had an upsell.
Yeah.
At that upsell, it was like, hey, $2,000 gets you the 3-day event. We're going to go into more detail on that 3-day event. And so my buddy's like, you want to do it? Want to split it? I'm like, sure, let's do it. So I put the 2,000 on my credit card, and we went to the 3-day. And then they had another upsell for a more intimate one-on-one experience, which was 20 grand.
Yeah.
And I spent the money on my credit card after I called my wife, got her blessing, get home from that event to find out that she's going to be expecting. And so this was shortly after I graduated, shortly after we bought a new house. And so we got a whole bunch of debt. We're broke,
Right.
Had zero money, but we raised the capital on credit to be able to even afford the education, not knowing how to make a single penny in real estate.
Right. Oh man, what a leap! What a leap!
It was a leap,
Yeah.
man.
So a lot of people are like, they're listening to that, and their mind was just blown. They've probably seen those 3-day events come to town, and we run a local meeting here in our market. We do some events like that where we bring people in and we teach. Every month, actually every week, we have some sort of event that everybody's welcome to. Right? There's no charge to come in there, but you went and paid for a one-on-one or a coaching program, a step up, $20,000 to get you going. And I don't want to answer this for you, so I'm going to ask you the question. Looking back today, after 200 plus deals, was that 20 grand worth it?
I mean, to say it was worth it is an understatement, right? Because, I mean, listen, I didn't realize how much money there was to be made in real estate, and I made that money back in one deal.
Yeah.
I made 20,000 in my very first deal, and so it's just it blew my mind when I cashed that first check.
Yes.
It just completely blew my mind. So yes, long short, it was 100%.
Yeah, I asked that question because that was a big pill to swallow. I know for you and for most people, and we hired some coaches right when we were first getting going, and those are big checks or credit cards to swipe, but and you don't, like you said, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't actually realize when we're going through school or just kind of growing up, it's we can't really see how big real estate opportunities are. I mean, we can't see the vast ocean of profit that is made out there from so many different angles. And so when we're looking at, man, I pay $5, $10, $20, $25,000 for this guy. All I know is how I make money today. What you get opened up to and shown is how you can make money in real estate, which is just exponentially larger. And so it's tough. I get that. I just, the fact that you did that straight out the gate is amazing. And wanted to hear your side of the story on that. So, another thing that hit, which you just talked about, is the side hustle. We are definitely in a side hustle culture, right? I tell people when I looked at multi-level marketing, vending machines, I always wanted something. I was like, eBay, what can I do to make more than what they're paying me at my 9-to-5 job, right? That, did you kind of go through that same roller coaster of like, oh, could I do this? Could I do that?
Yeah, I just didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was kind of trying everything, right? I was like, well, I may not have done it had I had a very secure, high-income job, but because I didn't, I was looking for alternative ways to make money. And I wasn't afraid to go out there and put in the work and put in the time. And so it's, I didn't know if wholesaling was going to become a legitimate business until I made more money part-time wholesaling than I made at my full-time job. And that was the moment that my wife and I were like, wait a second, this shouldn't be a side hustle anymore. Like, this is a legitimate business that we need to probably start to take more seriously. And then that was when I made the decision to actually sell my house to afford me the opportunity to buy myself the time to get the business off the ground and put some momentum into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it becomes a lot of folks will come to real estate as one of those side hustles, vending machines and eBay and multi-level marketing, and they look at real estate as another one of those side hustles. And in our community, at the Deal Finders community, we preach all the time is this: if you want this to work, it can't be a side hustle. Now you might spend part-time hours on it, but in order to flip that, you put some dedication to it, put some time in educating yourself, put some money towards marketing. We'll talk about that in a minute. Is that will turn over and not just be this little side hustle, like a hobby that you do. Real estate is, if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to probably take all your money. You won't get anything back. You can spend it really fast in this business. So let's talk about that first deal, because I know right now you work multiple markets, multiple states, and the new folks out there, the new deal finders, they hear that, and frankly, even me, I hear it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that I can't even fathom, right? It's like, I can't get to that point. How did you get started? What was that first deal like? How did you find it? Was it a list? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So how I got started is not what led me to my success of my first deal. So I want to just point this out real quick, because I think this is important. The information that I was digesting was go look for on-market properties, make a bunch of offers, and you'll eventually find somebody who's desperate enough to say yes. And I'm not saying that doesn't work, because I get referrals from agents that have pocket listings and stuff like that, but ultimately that just wasn't working. And so I met a guy. He's like, what we should be doing is you should be driving around neighborhoods. You should be calling for sale by owners, for rent signs. You should be basically on the ground, like proactive,
Right.
like put yourself out there, start to have conversations, and just start making offers. And so long story short, I was sitting around on a Sunday looking at for sale by owners. I don't want to talk to any more real estate agents. I was burned out of doing that because it wasn't working. And I talked to a gentleman who had a fourplex listed for sale by owner. I called it within an hour of it going up for sale. And I said, hey, what's going on here? He's like, well, I've got this property, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, he was living in one unit, renting the other 3 units out. It was a fourplex.
Yeah.
And I went to the appointment and had a conversation, made him an offer for $5,000 less than what he was asking for. And because it was such a desirable property, it was a multi-unit. Check this out. $180,000 is what I picked that contract up for on the fourplex, purpose-built brick in capital of the state. Put that on the Facebook group, had 15 people show up to the inspection, and sold it for 20-some thousand above what I contracted the property for. And that was my first wholesale deal. It was a for sale by owner Zillow listing.
Wow. I love it. Love it. I wish I had a bell or something to ring for you. Like, I just feel like that's natural for me, whatever. So that is fantastic. So I love that you were being taught and kind of shown one way of doing this. But what the thing with real estate is, you were able to get connected with someone else who was like, hey, you know what? This might work better for you. This might work better in this market. Try this. I love that about real estate. That's and why we have built our community, is to help show and share that with people. Most industries just don't do that. Most industries, if you had somebody in your market and they were like your quote competitor, they would not have suggested you go do that. They wouldn't have given you ideas of how to make your business, because they would feel like you're taking it from them. I don't get that much in real estate, which is fantastic. So a couple of things.
I agree 100%. It's amazing about this business. I was shocked. I'm like, why are you giving me all your secrets?
Yeah.
Right? But then now that I've been through and seen it, like, I love to do the same for other people, and doing deals is like the best way to learn. Right.
You know what? One of the reason I think that is, I think the real estate investors feel that way. And we hear it all the time, and it's not just hearsay. It's real legit. Like, there are so many deals to go around. We can't get them all. We just can't do them all. And there's so many people that will connect with you that if I call them, they will hang up the phone because they don't like my accent or what I have to say or where I grew up. Right. So
Sure.
There's so many opportunities out there that we share. And so I love it. And let's talk about that deal. You went and got it for how many dollars in marketing did you pay?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, it was a single phone call because I called, I had the conversation, I booked the in-person appointment, and then I left there with a signed contract. So it was like it happened really fast, but that's how you win in this business is speed,
Yeah.
right? When the opportunity presents itself, you gotta move
You got to jump
fast.
on it. Jump on it. And that's one of the things that people getting started. We get this question all the time, especially from our students. Like, hey, I'm just getting started. How can I compete with the big guys in my market in my town? Like, we're doing deals. Our company's doing 8, 9 deals a month that we close, and they're like, well, how do I compete with you, or how do I do that? I'm like, you don't need to do that, and you're not competing against me. You do you and do take your advantage. Your advantage is you're one person and you're talking to one person. So as soon as that deal hits, go get it. Be the quickest, be the fastest on scene. So that's what you did. And um for sale by owner,
And I had a mentor there. I had a mentor with me on that appointment.
even
The
better.
guy who told me to do these things, we decided to partner up and do 6 deals together. We'd split 50-50. So I actually worked that deal with him, and it was probably because of his negotiation skills and expertise that we ended up getting that deal. I found it, he helped me seal the deal, right? So I I'm a big fan of collaboration, even with some of my biggest competitors. I say that because I mean, I just told you about a deal that we did today, and it's funny because one of my buddies, I consider him a buddy, texted me. He's like, dude, he's like, you beat me to it. I just showed up at this person's house because he's a door knocker. So he's going and knocking on foreclosure.
Oh wow.
And I happen to be connected to like the short sales specialist in this market. And she sends deals our way because we feed each other business. But anyway, long story short, maybe we can get into that deal. But that's just a prime example of how we work together, collaboratively in most cases. In this case, he was been a
Because you were faster.
it happened. I was faster.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get to that. Let's finish up on the first one for sale by owner Zillow. So guys, if you're new, if you're trying to figure out how to get that first deal, it is really simple. Simple tactically. Uh, just go to Zillow. They have moved the for sale by owner, and by the time I do this, they will probably move it again because the realtors are mad at them. So you might have to find it and click around, but look for sale. There's going to be another button that says listed by owner. Find that, call them. Those are people today that have their hand raised that says, I'm ready to sell. If you want practice talking to sellers, call them because they're not going to be mad at you for bothering them. They want to talk to you about it. They may not like your price. That's fine, but they'll at least talk to you. So go do that today, you guys. If you're looking for a deal, you should call every single one of them and grab a mentor, grab somebody in your community locally that can help you with negotiation, with how to price this thing, because you can literally go find one today. At least if you don't get the deal, you can at least make 200 phone calls to those people and get a lot of phone time practice without even having to spend $1 in marketing. So I love that. And we do have students here. We do teach through the Deal Finders Club. And I told you, Michael, before is that we teach this beginning step because we feel like once you get that first deal, second deal, third deal, then you can decide what works for you. What do you want out of the business? When you get $60,000 in the bank from three $20,000 deals or something, you've got a lot more flexibility. You've got options. So what we teach is how to go find those first couple of deals in your local market with exactly what you just did. And then you have options. And so now you work, tell me how many markets you're in right now, or
Yeah, so this is always ever changing, right? Like, I've taken a couple approaches. I've started with the methodology is that you teach, and I still highly believe in it. Like if I'm ever in a neighborhood and I see a garage sale or like I see an opportunity that just kind of looks like, hey, this person could be selling, I'm still gonna go check that out and be curious. The other, I guess, to answer your question is markets. I'm in physically located in Las Vegas. Right now, our primary focus is in Nebraska, pretty much all of Nebraska and Las Vegas. Um, so depending on the time, depending on, kind of the growth phase, we have the flexibility and capability to pretty much open up in any market in the country, like with the snap of a button, because we have a proven model of how we find these sellers very quickly,
Right.
very motivated sellers. And so it's morphed. I've done nationwide. I've done 15 states. Then I've scaled it back. And what I'm finding is I really like to create authority and brand in a market to really establish that credibility. It feels better for me to have a little bit more of an organic name versus, hey, if I pop into North Carolina, nobody knows who I am, so it's going to take me some time to build up that trust. Even though my sales seems good on the phone, it just seems to be a better ROI if we focus our efforts.
I love that.
So I'm liking that more.
Yeah, I love it. So you have the options. You get to choose where you want to go. So let's talk about this deal that you referenced a few times. We talked about it briefly before we got started. So let's dissect that and kind of talk through a higher level deal. One of the things that if you're a beginner and you run into this deal, 100% go to a trusted mentor, and not just somebody you met through a random Craigslist or Facebook ad or something like that, because everybody wants to be a quote mentor to somebody, but someone that's actually done deals, dozens of deals at least, someone that runs a meetup. Go to them if you have a deal like this. So you saved it from the courthouse. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's in progress. I told you I was I apologize. I'm running a few minutes behind because I'm in the process of solving a pretty big problem here, because I got a text yesterday and it was from a real estate agent that we work with. And she says, "Hey, I've got a seller. Can you talk? Foreclosure happens like tomorrow." And I said, "Sure." So it was brought to me from an agent. The agent connects me with the seller. We have a brief conversation. I come to find out that they inherited this property and they had a state opened and she was appointed the PR, but she never got the message to show up to the court. And so they closed the probate case, and so it's still technically not finalized. And so that's a whole nother thing in itself. But the bottom line is she's facing foreclosure and she needs to have her loan reinstated by today, like before 5 p.m. Otherwise, she's going to lose probably $100,000 of equity.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Of at stake here. And she had somebody come knock on her door and in person, and she just didn't get the best vibe from the person.
Wow.
I'm sitting in Las Vegas at my house and I'm having a conversation with this gal. I'm texting her, like up until like 10 o'clock last night, trying to get her to decide, hey, if we're going to do this, we've got to do this.
Yeah.
Because I've got to get this information started with title, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, we worked out a deal where we're going to reinstate the loan. We are going to help her finalize the probate. We're going to create a promissory note to protect our investment tied to the property. So she's at title right now signing that documentation. So we have the confidence to reinstate this loan, until we get all the title fixed. And as part of that deal, it was important to her to be able to stay in the property. So, I don't like to do this, but we have enough equity protection to be able to allow her to live there rent free for a little over a year. And that was super important to her because, her line of credit's like $400 a month.
Yeah.
But she didn't have the money to keep up with everything, taxes and everything like that. So we're essentially solving a pretty big problem here. And there's a lot of risk with these types of deals, but I gave her the confidence that, hey, this isn't the first time we've done this, to where she trusted me, over somebody who came and knocked on her door, which, I don't take that lightly because selling a house is a pretty big deal. Like these people's livelihoods are in our hands. 5 years ago, she would have hung up on me because I had no clue what I was talking about. But I didn't just get to this point by not failing for it and having these conversations and putting myself in, circumstances where, hey, listen, I'm going to do this my best, but maybe we should bring in XYZ partner because they've done this 100 times.
Right.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So very complicated deal. And I'm not going to try to break it down for everybody. Look, if you want more details on that, uh, put some notes in the comments, reply to that. You guys can watch this on YouTube, and put some comments in there if you have questions, because we can dive into that. But this would take a little bit longer. It's a whole nother podcast to dive into this one, because you're dealing with probate. So this person actually doesn't own the house just yet. They're about to lose it to a bank because the person passed away and obviously wasn't paying the mortgage. You got someone that doesn't have a place to live. And so, you're putting money out. So this is so much going on. But guys, this is where you can this is a big problem that you can solve for a seller, for a homeowner, property owner. These problems happen all the time, and it's so sad because we get it. We get this a lot too, where they just either aren't paying attention or just think it'll go away. So the seller doesn't do anything about it, and they will lose that $100,000 of equity in the only home they have, the only place they have. They don't have a plan, and it sucks. It sucks when we see that, because we could have helped. There are things, and even if it's not us, right? We now know, and you all know, listen to this podcast, that there are options to help people, and it's just a matter of getting it to the right person. And so in our market, we are those people. We're helping somebody right now who will lose it at the next auction, which is in 16 days. And they called us. And so we're like, we don't have much time. Let's get going, and we had somebody probably 6 months ago that called us the day before, and it was too late. It was literally just too late, because it was like 4 p.m. and it was going to the auction, and we asked them just, hey, if you go down there, you could stop this, and they just wouldn't do it. So it hurts. It sucks. So I love that you're helping this person. You're doing going out on a limb here, but your experience allows you to do that. So let's talk about, what would you recommend for somebody just getting started, that they hear that story and they really want to help people and they want to make a living at doing it? Because when you solve big problems, you get paychecks for it. Okay. You solve small problems, you can get small paychecks for it. Okay. So you can actually make a living doing this. How does someone get started? Like, what would you say for someone just hearing this podcast and like, okay, real estate's for me? What do I do?
it's a great question. And by the way, this changes like all the time,
Sure.
right? Like you and I probably have a lot of different lines in the water as far as marketing, and like over time things just change. So when I first got started, I was talking to somebody recently about this, like how as a hustler, you have the ability to, get on the phones all day long. You have the ability to text and run the neighborhood and like just be very resourceful. And that's a fantastic way to do it. You can still do that today. But I mean, if you're in a local market, you got to go look for the distressed opportunities, properties that have tall grass, properties that driveways aren't scooped in the wintertime, cars with flat tires, like things like that are signs of distress. I mean, go stick a note on their door. Yeah. You know what I mean? Go look up who owns the property and call them and just see if they would have any interest in selling the property. And having those conversations is what's going to lead you to doing consistent deals. And this didn't really apply 2 years ago, but I mean, foreclosures, I don't know what you're seeing, Andrew, but we're seeing a huge uptick
way up
in foreclosures. And that's free information, guys. You can go on, I know in our market, Zillow.com, you can go search the pre-foreclosures tab. This lead that I just explained to you, it's listed on Zillow as a pre-foreclosure. And I'm sure she told me she's been bombarded, right? And so because of the credibility that agent introduction and our brand brings to the table is why she's able to trust me. And if that's not you, partner with somebody like that, right? Until you can start to get a track record, start to get some reviews, start to, say, hey, here's a third-party story of how I helped Sally in this exact situation. And then that's going to ultimately give you that trust that you need for that seller to sell to you with confidence. And you probably are going to get better deals that way.
Yeah.
if you have that certainty and confidence you can provide to that homeowner.
Absolutely. I got to hit back on this thing because you started, it's a whole circle. You started with the course or the coach that you were learning how to reach out to agents and make offers. You evolved into this very most recent deal where the agents are bringing you deals. You have built a network. You've connected with agents so they think of you first. You're not having to go to them, they're coming to you. Now that's a completely different shift. It's a completely different way of doing business. And I can tell you the latter, the way you're doing it now, is much more efficient and much more fun business model, right? So, Michael, hey, man, this has been an incredible half-hour podcast where we kind of went a little bit long, but it was so good. The info was so good and really some actionable steps for people to take to get started or to think about what's the next level. So I love that. I love the full circle of working with agents as well. So we've got some of your contact info. What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they have questions or if they're in your local market and they want to connect?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been awesome, Andrew. Appreciate you again for having me on. So you can connect with me on Instagram. I tend to post more on there, so you can follow the journey there. Also, you can check out my website and connect with me there. That's thevirtualmillionaires.com.
Okay. Yep.
And I love doing deals with people. He loves finding deals. I love doing deals with people. This is awesome. And thanks again for having me on, man.
Absolutely. And your podcast is the Virtual Millionaire Show, right?
Yes. The podcast behind me here is the Virtual Millionaire Show. And we talk a lot about really turning this into more of a business once you have found that proof of concept and growing and building from there.
Yes, I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, hey, I really appreciate you joining us. Remember, you can go to dealfindersclub.com to get more information. We have resources. We have the events tab for all of our local events that are going on. You can also go there to find the link to the podcast and YouTube channel. So you can find it all there. Join the Facebook group. And if you are trying to get started, y'all just let us know. Reach out. We can connect. We can give you a couple steps to get going today so that you can build your real estate business. Y'all, there's so many opportunities out there, but the only thing that's not going to help you get there is not taking action. So take this information and take some action on it. We will see you on the next show. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.